Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. Okay, y'all. Welcome, Facebook and YouTube. I am so glad to be on tonight with y'all. Y'all, this is a very special night, and it's rather emotional because I actually just came back from attending the Star on actually it's not on Hollywood Boulevard, but it's off of Vine, Tina Turner Star. And I know tonight we're talking about our journey of our journey with Tina Turner and the story that we have been able to have because of her being able to share her music. So I wanted to just first of all just welcome y'all. I'm a little bit sensitive, so I'm tender. So who knows what may go down tonight emotionally. But I just want to thank you guys for joining us and being on this journey with us tonight. Um, if you haven't, for those of you who are watching, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel yet, please do the Nitty Grit subscribe on YouTube. And just really just put some little comments in there if you wouldn't mind. Just tell me about your experience on the show if you're a first timer or if you've been following me for a little bit. But I am Chantel Denise. For those of you who do not know me, I'm going to have my husband here with me tonight, and we're just going to talk it up. And we want to just give you guys some highlights of our journey. It's been fantastic, y'all. You all know that we lost Tina this week, and it was very, very hard for me personally because I have been doing a tribute to Tina Turner since 1998. So it's been quite a while. And it's been a beautiful journey. But I could not have done that journey without my husband, John. So I want to welcome John to the convo. Come on in. Come on in, hubby. Yeah. So
Hi,
we just
everyone.
this is my husband John, y'all. And they welcome. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
being on
Thank you for having
tonight.
me. This is an important time for us,
This is a
and
very
it's a
important.
huge part of our life that we're sharing tonight.
Yes, we are.
Mm.
So I want to you want to tell little people a little bit about you,
Mhm.
just your journey in music.
Wow, my journey in music. Wow, I was an air guitar player growing up, in front of the mirror until, I took lessons. I actually took piano lessons when I was a kid, but I didn't start playing really like intentionally until I was about 16 years old. And I found that at that point, I was able to pick up tunes on my own and play them on the keyboard. So I became very self-taught. I didn't have like all of the technical skill because of that. Although many years later, I went back. I did take some lessons from a jazz professional. But I was playing around and, playing rock and roll music and old soul music and things like that. And when I moved to LA, actually, I played in college. I played in a band in college, kind of a goofy thing. Wasn't all that serious. Played bars and nightclubs a few times.
Hey, that's not goofy. Did you all get paid?
Not very much. Yeah,
Did
I
you get
remember.
paid? Did you get
Yeah, I
anything?
think so.
Okay, so it's not
Gosh,
too
it's a
bad.
long time ago now. But when I got here to LA, that's when I, in earnest, decided that let me give a crack at it. It's, I'm near Hollywood. In those days, the Sunset Strip was still kind of happening, and I had my own band where I was a songwriter. I played guitar, played piano, and cut a record, which didn't really go anywhere, but I got the experience of doing it. And then right around 1994, 95, I sort of got burned out. And I stopped. I stopped playing because it's when you're doing that circuit and you're hustling in nightclubs or, pay to play venues, which is something that if you're a musician, I strongly recommend that you don't ever, never, and I mean never with a capital N and capital ever, never do pay to play because exposure, as in the wild, kills.
Ooh.
So we don't do that. We shouldn't do that. And we actually harm our industry when we do pay to play. But that is a subject for an entirely different episode, which I think we should do.
That's another show.
I really got tired of that, and I stopped, even though I still loved music. And then we got married.
Yes.
In 1997.
Which brings us to what we're talking about tonight.
At that point, I don't remember the exact order, whether it was the movie or the CD of the soundtrack. Maybe it was the movie first of What's Love Got to Do With It came into our house, probably on a VHS tape for those of you who've been around a while, the old boxy tapes. And I don't think I'd actually seen it before that. I mean, I knew Tina Turner from the 80s, right? All the million videos that she had out. Obviously, it's very, very, very popular, but it wasn't like I was a massive fan. I was aware. I'm like, yeah, this is a woman who's been around a long time, lots of hits, very talented and so forth. But I don't think I'd actually seen the movie until I met you. And then what I do remember is getting the CD of the soundtrack.
Right? I remember
and
that.
I gave you the CD. And I remember coming home from work quite frequently, and you have the CD on and you're playing it, you're singing all of the songs.
Every day.
Every
pretty
day.
much.
Now, what the people don't know is that you and I met in church, but what really brought us together is that there were some occasions when we actually performed together. Either with the church band or we did some special events where I played piano and you sang. So we connected over music. And almost on a whim, I don't know what it was. Maybe it was God just working through me. I asked you something to the effect of, would you like to start a band where we do the Tina Turner tribute? And, in those days I had seen some tribute bands in my life. I'd seen some, and I knew that they were out, they were making more money than I was writing songs. And I thought, well, that would be kind of fun. We know a bunch of people who play music, and maybe, all the whole thing of dressing up in costume and all that stuff. It just, that'd be something fun for us to do. But relatively soon after that, I discovered that people actually would pay us to actually go and perform. And that's when the lights went off. I'm like, aha, this actually can be lucrative. It can be professional. I can do it more than just on the hanging out, just for fun. And there was a lot of trial and error at that beginning stage, and that got us to. So I'm going to stop right there. I'm going off on my own words here, but that gets us to 1998 when we actually started to put together the Tina Turner tribute show.
Yes, thank you for all of that, babe. So 1998 is the year, y'all. That's. I mean, there are a lot of tribute bands out there. There are a lot of impersonators out there. You guys have seen them. There's a lot of people who do cover bands. And so they don't necessarily dress up in the costume of the artist, but they do several artists. So, people are keeping music alive through that stuff. And I know a lot of times that, there's the big fuss about, not using people's I know. And so if we play something tonight, we got to give that disclaimer. Right. We don't own the rights. And so we don't own the rights to the music of Tina Turner or anybody that we've ever performed. But I do want to make a statement with that, because I think that when someone does a tribute or an honoring or an impersonation, they really have actually fallen in love with that particular artist and the love of their music, the love of their personality. And so it's a really big honoring. And I want to make sure I say that, because it's a big honoring for someone to take on someone else's music. I know for us, we're not trying to be the artist. We're not trying to steal the artist's music. We're actually trying to introduce that music of that artist to maybe a group of people that don't know anything about it. And that's kind of what we did with Tina Turner. There has been several performances that I have done that people were like, I didn't even know who Tina Turner was. I mean, in some of these little small towns, they were like, we don't even know who she was. And so we kind of we feel like our tribute kind of honors her. And at the same time, educates other people or give people an opportunity to hear something maybe they've never heard before. And so 1998, John and I, he came to me. He actually told me, hey, how do you feel about starting a band? And I said, yes. And so this was the first time we actually took on music together.
So let me ask you this.
Okay.
Since I gave everybody my background, maybe it would help, since, what your journey was up to 1998 in terms of music.
Okay, so for me, I moved out to California for music. So I started out singing backup for a rapper. And that did not work out because management sent the rapper to New York, and it was like 2 weeks before we were moving to LA. And I'm like, I don't want to go to New York. I know nobody there. And I knew that I had some family here. We were not close family, but I did have some people here that I could come and at least sleep on their couch, right? So that was kind of my journey, coming here. Me and a friend of mine, her name is Tracy, and she came here before. And so that didn't work out, but I ended up auditioning and doing some other stuff. I auditioned for a popular group. Actually, we played one of their songs in our wedding for me to walk down the aisle. I don't know if you remember that group. For Real.
For Real. Okay.
So I that was one of the bigger groups that I auditioned for, and I got to the second phase of it, but I didn't make the cut. So my journey of, I was hoping that I would actually be either doing my own thing, singing backup for somebody that was, kind of like making their way. But I think when I came here, though, and the things that did not work out for me, I discovered that I'm actually not a backup singer, that I'm actually a lead front girl.
Yes.
And so I think all of those things that they did not work out because I wasn't supposed to be doing them. I'm supposed to be out on the front. I've kind of been always a front person most of my life. And so it made sense that my journey would go the way it has gone, that I would end up meeting you and that we would actually end up doing something. So our band that we did was the first time I was a front girl, which is pretty cool. So 1998, I started performing lead and, in a band, and that band was with you. So we chose Tina Turner. I will tell you, when John came and asked me, and we're going to talk about why we started this band. When John came and asked me to do the Tina Turner songs, I definitely was completely like blown away that he even thought we should do this together, first of all. And I can't tell you the birth of it. And we have a pretty good team, and we're still doing it, by the way, just so you know. We don't do it often anymore. And we'll get into kind of like some things that have happened why we don't do it often, but we are still available if any of you want to hire us out there.
Yes.
But I want to talk about the why we chose the Tina Turner music. First, I want to ask you, like, really quickly, if you could just say why you chose this particular artist.
Wow. Well, I would say I was inspired when you were singing it, and you were very good at it, number one. And so I guess, I don't know if I was thinking concretely, but I imagine somewhere in my thinking, it's like, well, here is an artist that you can actually sing, and she's not a pigeonholed artist. That is, she's not R&B. She's called the queen of rock and roll, but she's not like hardcore rock. You know what I mean? Got plenty of soul in there. It's sort of a mixture of it. She appeals to people of all backgrounds, all colors, international, had a long career. And beyond that, she has a biography that is very inspirational. And so there's a lot of levels as an artist that Tina Turner had that make her a compelling figure. That really make her a compelling figure to honor, right? And and on top of that, what I looked around, I didn't see any other artists really doing a band concept. Now there are impersonators, there are women who dress up, they will play with tracks and things like that, and that's fine and all that. But there wasn't anybody who had taken on, that I could see really, let's pull a live band together and do it. And I think it's because when you look at her videos and you look at the more recent tour, even the older tours, but the more recent tours that really got really phenomenal, in the mid 90s and early 2000s, I mean, these were just unbelievable productions. We're talking, I don't know, 14 people on stage. Like, she's had
more than that, like maybe 20.
Whatever it is, it's a massive, just a large band. I always love that idea of a big, large band producing this massive sound. And I'm like, okay, that's going to be a challenge because I won't be able to afford to hire that many musicians. But I loved the big sound. I loved the explosive show. And then once I started to study a little bit more about her history and where she came from and how she came up from Hard Scrabble Nothing, right? And did the sort of the Chitlin circuit is what they called it back in the 50s and 60s. and then went into a funk era and a rock era, and then fell off the map for a while, and then made a massive comeback. It's just just a really interesting musical history journey. Yeah, and so many people, especially now, when you look back and you see all the tributes of people who are putting comments on all the famous people. Everybody was her fan.
Yep.
Everybody. The bass player from Black Sabbath, the guy named Geezer Butler. I mean, this is hardcore heavy metal, right? He put up a post saying, he was a fan since 1966. So, yeah, that's
good stuff.
Yeah.
So you pretty much love the idea of just like, she's kind of like one of those people that you can't really copy. She's very authentic, very different, but covers all the bases of great music, great talent, great personality, great artistry, all of that stuff into one.
The level of performance was higher than just about any artist in the popular music era that I can think of.
Yeah. And so I appreciate you sharing all of that stuff, because I know for me, for those of you out there watching, I really like when John mentioned Tina Turner. For me, first of all, I knew about Tina Turner. I knew of her, but I don't feel like I got to know Tina Turner until I started performing her music. Mm-hmm. That is when she came alive for me. When I watched What's Love Got to Do with It, and I saw Angela Bassett. Angela Bassett did such an incredible job. That was like some of her best work, I feel like, and she's amazing. But I felt like she really captured Tina's essence. Everything about her, she captured, and we were able to watch, and it was like watching Tina, like, when we were watching What's Love Got to Do with It. But I will tell you this, the movie is one thing, but the book is another. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I remember you buying me this book and just, going through it and looking through the pictures and looking through her life and looking at, the things that she had been through. Yeah. And there's one chapter in the book called Finding Strength. Mm. Okay. So one of the things I love about that title, Finding Strength, is because when I looked at Tina Turner, and this is the reason why I chose to just take this on and really try to do it well. Tina Turner had been through a lot. She had been through a lot in her life. And I'm not talking about the Ike stuff. I'm talking about the beginning stages from when she was a young girl. Yes. And, the relationship she had with her mother, and, it wasn't a good relationship in the beginning stages, and even all the way through most of her life. Mm-hmm. So my thing is, when I saw that, first of all, she was from Nutbush, which is country, a little old town down in Tennessee, right? Mm-hmm. So I am from a small town called Brookshire, Texas. So that was one thing. I was like, this is a country girl. Absolutely. She's a country girl. So I'm a country girl, I grew up with the chickens in the yard, right? And eating them for dinner. So I'm just like, this is a country girl. So I identified with her with that. Sure. Back then, before the movie, actually, in my younger years, I didn't really have the best relationship with my mom. So I identify with her like this mother and daughter challenge. So I'm like, okay, we have some of that in common. Mm-hmm. And abuse. I had been abused. And I also had been in relationships where I've actually been punched in my face. And
so it was very close to home experience.
Very close to home. Yeah. And I don't cry about this because I'm still, troubled over it. I cry because you never know someone's story. Yeah. And someone's story is always a platform for purpose for somebody else, I feel like. And I felt like when I was able to take on Tina's music and do her songs, I really was connecting with a human being that had been on a journey that had challenges. And what I loved about her with all the challenges, and this is where she gave me some life and some inspiration, was I never heard her on any interview be bitter.
Nope.
And I knew in my life I didn't want to be a bitter woman. I didn't want the things that had happened to me for me to just embody them in my body, for me to walk through life with all the pain and all the trauma and represent that pain and trauma to everybody that came my way. With Tina, she was giving life to people. She was literally pouring back into people by allowing herself to go through what she went through and then to still keep it moving. And so that chapter in her book, Finding Strength, it's awesome to me because she found her strength, through different ways. And I feel like as people, we have to find our strength in life. We can't let life beat us up and go, oh, I'm beat up, I'm bruised, I'm battered. I'm just going to live in that. And I'm just going to walk around in that. Right. And I'm just going to carry that. And I'm just going to be that. She was not any of that. And so that's really why I took it on, is that I saw someone who had a triumphant story, a triumphant story of hope. And I wanted to have that kind of hope for my own life. Can I my own story? Go ahead.
I'm sure a lot of people have read all the articles and stuff that people are putting out. And one writer that I read named Bill O'Reilly, he's just a news guy basically. But he put up an article that it was a short article saying that Tina Turner was one of the greatest artists he had ever seen. And then he went into that whole issue of like, this is someone that young people really actually ought to emulate because, she went through hell and back, right?
Yeah.
And really had that positive attitude and always let it push her upwards. And he said in this, the modern, he was examining the modern generation and how much, really there's a challenge of people taking responsibility, right?
Yeah.
And people rising to the occasion. And I think that's what he was trying to get at. It's like, you got to look at the challenges in life and not let them wreck you, but let them propel you forward. And that's absolutely, especially when you know the full scope of her story, because, the marital challenges that's just one piece
That's
of it.
one part.
There's a lot more overcoming that she had to do throughout the course of her life.
Yeah. I appreciate you bringing that up. I think that, something, and it's a good point. You said that she's someone you can actually imitate.
Yeah.
The way Tina, when I would watch, I saw the movie and I've seen documentaries, and, you can tell like in her eyes on sometimes that there was pain. But I would tell you this, what inspired me is that the most of the time that you saw her, especially on stage, you only saw the joy that was in front of her, the life that she was creating for herself. You didn't see the challenges. And I think something that's really inspiring and incredible, and that we can all grab from a life like that, a human being like that, is that God gives us models all the time. He gives us examples and different people to really look at, okay, how this person overcame all of that. Okay, I could actually overcome my stuff too. Like sometimes I think that we can live our lives like our story is unique in a sense that we're the only one that is experiencing something. And it's so not true, because, and it's not that, take away or not validate what a person has been through. It's like, there are so many models around and so many options and so many choices we could go and say, well, let me see how this person did that. How did she do that? And a lot of what I did was listen to Tina's interviews. I listened to some of her words, and they're very inspiring.
Yeah.
One thing that a quote she said, she was, I think she was interviewing with Oprah. She says, I knew I always wanted better. And I got exactly what I wanted. I wanted better, so I got better. And that's pretty powerful to me, because when we want better, there's a difference from wanting better than actually going and get better or getting better. And so I think that I just want to encourage you guys with that, is that, life has its challenges. Tina had her challenges, but I really feel like that Tina's final days, the fact that she got all the way to where she could say, I'm going to retire, first of all, from music, that's accomplishment in itself. Like, to get to a place musically, you go, I'm going to go out and I'm going to go out well. right? So she did her last tour and it was a huge success. We were at that, we were on that tour. And then after this tour, then this play is birth by Katori Hall. She writes this story, right? And I'm just like, and then we get to actually see this thing on Broadway. Like, you guys, oh my gosh. So amazing. And I know that there's a tour out, which I'm sure is incredible, but to be on Broadway and to experience what we got to experience was like hanging out with Tina herself.
It was nothing like it.
It's nothing like it. So, you know, we started this band and we continue to do this band. And many of our friends who are on watching tonight, they have been to see us and they know what we are all about. And I feel like we've created community with doing this tribute. We have built some connections with people from this tribute. We got people who have followed us for years, like have been in our corner supporting us. We got people who come out and videotape. We got friends who keep a catalog of what we've done honoring Tina. So, you know, but it wasn't always hard, y'all. So let me just tell you, because we're going to get down to the grit of the challenges that we've had with building this band. And really trying to honor Tina. So I would tell you one of the challenges that we're going to just go through some challenges because we want to give you guys some highlights that, you know, we had challenges in our tribute. Y'all know Tina had some challenges, I'm sure, in her band. I'm sure there's some people that had to be fired. I'm sure there were people that they are no longer in the relationship with. And I'm sure that she had to do some, you know, some cleaning house and even with her management team and all that stuff. I'm sure she experienced some things. And so just like any other band, you're going to have different things. But I love the fact that you never hear Tina talk about any of the members in her team, right? I've never heard her put anybody down, right? Because that's just the kind of woman she was. She was an upright woman who always lived out being the best version of herself because nothing else mattered but being the best version of herself. And so for me, you know, challenges with this band, when we started in 1998, we did our first performance out for a corporate event out in North Hollywood. North Hollywood. And so we had a team, and I'm going to name off all the people as we're going to try to give shout out to everybody who's been a part of this band because they deserve that shout out because they did work hard.
Have we told them the name of the band?
No, we did not. You want to tell them the name of our band?
All right. Well, we decided to call the band Proud Mary.
How fitting.
Yes. It actually had a longer name at the beginning. You remember that?
Proud Mary and the Mojo Queens.
That's right. Yes.
That's who we used to be. Okay.
We shortened it down to Proud Mary.
So what happened for me in challenges in the band is that their egos came about in the band. There were egos with musicians and there was an ego with me. Okay. So here's the deal. We create a band to give honor to Tina Turner because that's what it's supposed to be about. But because different people have their different ideas of how things should be and how things, you know, how they want it to be, you know, you start having this challenge with different people. And I remember getting into it with a couple of people. I remember, you know, John having his situations. But I think one of the things that I learned from that is that when you're getting in challenges in the band and bands, especially one like this where it's designed to honor the artist and you're having your issues over how you think it should be and you can't compromise and make it work, that's a problem because what has happened is you've made it more about you than the project, than the issue of that we're supposed to be taking this woman's songs and we're supposed to be honoring her and sharing her music with the world. It's all about the music. It's all about the artist who created the music, right? And so I learned that, you know, for me, that I let egos and stuff get in the way of continuing to make this thing beautiful as how we started out. We wanted it to be a beautiful honoring. And so I definitely know that's something that I I definitely learned that, I lost my way in some areas. And so I had to mature and grow up. And I think, I do music a whole lot different from how I did back then. But, it was very, very hard. And then we ended up having to, part ways with some people because it became too much. It became too overwhelming. And I know I take responsibility for anything that I actually participated in the things that I've done, because I know that if you're telling me how my band is going to run, I'm like, oh, no, 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 you don't get to tell me. And so I know I can get a little bit authoritative and can come across rude and arrogant, and I know that, I experienced that. And so that was part of the challenges is like really learning how to connect with people and learning how to be on the same page with the project. And when you're not on the same page, the project ends up turning into mush, and it removes everything away from it being what it's supposed to be. And I knew I did not want to honor her like that. So I did have to make some changes in myself so that it could be better. It could be better. And so I learned how to approach different things differently, asking more questions, or even being open to a suggestion, an idea, because I think that I wasn't as open at certain points with certain ideas because I knew, no, I want it this way, right? And so that's something that you learn. Humility is so powerful when you're in a group.
Yes.
If you do not have humility, don't be in a group. If you do not want to grow in humility, don't be in a group. If you do not want to learn somebody else's idea, don't be in a group. Yeah. And so I've had to work through my own personal, challenges in order to be able to be more welcoming. Like, okay, we did decide to get in a group. So what's the focus? The focus is honoring the artist. So how can we all do that together? Yeah. What was yours?
Wow.
One of yours.
I think probably the challenge, it's something that I think about in retrospect, is that I, as a band leader, manager, I didn't establish good boundaries at the beginning. I was a bit naive, I'll be honest. I was really naive, thinking that, we can bring together people that are friends or friendly with us, that we like, personally, who happen to have a skill as a musician or a singer. And that, unfortunately, doesn't necessarily translate to the performance environment, the business environment. And I think I didn't establish good boundaries at the first, because I really didn't know. Yes, I had done bands before, but I had not really done it correctly. I had not done it with, like a business plan. And you actually need to, for everyone's well-being, you have to do it with a business plan, because if you don't, you are basically just sort of winging it, right? And the friendship can get broken. And unfortunately, as a result of that kind of lack of boundaries, not only did the musical relationship and the business relationship end, but the friendship also disappeared. And so that was a big challenge, was discovering, once starting the project, that, okay, now we're into it. You and I have a certain vision, right?
Yeah.
But this person or these people over here who are working with us don't share that vision. And now we have to part ways, and then it makes it really difficult. And so it's a lot of trial and error of trying to find, okay, learn from that situation, maybe do better auditions, set boundaries, choose more wisely. And it took years, really. And we were blessed in the midst of all that to still be able to go out and do lots of performances while sort of trial and error way going through getting to the point where within the for the last few years, we've had really good people who have the right vision, who understand that this is a team, right? Yep. Everybody has a role on the team, and nobody is necessarily more important on the team, but you have the woman who's the designed by purpose, the star, right? Emulating the artist. So we, as the rest of the team, have to do our role so that you can do your role to the maximum level, so that the artist who we're covering is honored, and the people who have paid their money to come see us, actually, that's what they came to see.
Exactly.
That's what they didn't, they don't realize that all this stuff in the background makes that happen, because they are, for them, it's really like, I want to see the woman who does Tina Turner. That's what it is, right? But if we don't do our part to make you shine, then you can't shine.
Yes. Good point.
Yeah.
Good point. I appreciate you talking about you did not, think through the management part and like really plan out the vision, because that starting any kind of group,
Yeah.
If that is not in order, of course you're going to have like, it's almost like all these missing bolts and screws. You're trying to build a house, but you did put the foundation of the house. It's like, it's not going to stand. And so, we learned from that. And yes, we've been through a few musicians, few singers, different reasons. Some of it is because of what we're talking about tonight, like really learning about my own ego, learning about mismanagement, and not really setting the foundation of the vision. And the cool thing though is it's kept going.
Yes.
We kept it going. Now I want to put this out there. If you look at Tina Turner's tours, you'll notice she has most of the same people.
Yep. People stay with her for a long time.
So she learned how to do it well, y'all. She knew how to do it well. Okay. Her people were with her for a long time. So we started the tour probably like watching, it was that first tour, because I noticed that there's a different team that started to perform with her in 2000. And beyond. There was a different team, but for the most part, that other team before the 2000 tour was a few people different. Band wise, it looked like pretty much all the same people, except for the saxophone player. She ended up having on some a different saxophone player on a couple of shows,
and her keyboard player passed away.
Passed away. And so, but if you go back to those shows, you'll find those same people that were in that original tour from the band to the one where we got to see.
Yeah, I think it was 2000 when we actually saw her for the first time.
Exactly. So, I'm just like blown away with how she managed to have these people for years back her and be with her. So with that said, I do want to give a shout out to the people who have collectively been in Proud Mirror. So you want to try to name those people. So the first string of people, when we first started doing it in 1998, all of us were friends.
Yeah.
Right? All of us were friends. So we started out with this band, and we I wish I had the picture. I couldn't find the pictures, but we're going to do another show where we're going to put it on, where we just do the reel of the highlights. Because tonight we want to show you a little bit of our journey, but we want to also just kind of like make sure that we really talk about how incredible this woman has played a part in our life. But I'm going to start a little bit. So the first group of people, I want to give a shout out to Brian Ruth. He was a part of the group. Arnesia. Lindsay. Oh my gosh, Lindsay Russell at the time. She wasn't married. Lindsay Russell.
Ron
Holden, bass player. And was Mark always Mark D'Amato was the drummer for a long time, original drummer. And Tracy Harding was a part of that group. Then came Jackie Ridgel. Jackie Ridgel was a part of that group, right?
Andre
Mulia was on there for a little bit. And then, so that's the first string of people, correct?
Pretty much, yeah.
Cassandra Corleone was a dancer, and Christina Raggio was a dancer. So shout out to all of you guys.
That goes way
back. Thank you for being a part of the beginning stages of Proud Mary.
My turn. So
your turn.
I want to. So that was like 98, 99. So by the time we roll around to 2000, the House of Blues in Hollywood was still there. And so I don't even know how it came about, but we managed to get booked onto a show at the House of Blues in Hollywood, opening up for a James Brown tribute that was called
Yes.
Soul Power. And so basically, that was sort of right around the time when we had some changes, and I needed we needed a new guitar player, and we were I don't know, where were you walking? It was in Burbank.
Yes.
So
because you know me, I walk in Burbank and I'll meet
and so
anybody.
I don't think we were together. I think you had met them by yourself, but Ed and Linda Knievy, who we've known for all these years since. So basically, the story is that Chantel saw them, and Ed is he looks like a rock and roll guy because he's got long hair, and he still has long rock and roll hair
to
this day. And I think you just asked him a question: do you play in a band? Or
yes.
Yep. And so it turns out he's a guitar player, a good guitar player, and we needed a guitar player, and he lived close by, and he wasn't doing anything. I'm like, oh, look at that, how cool! He's really, really great guy, sweet, hardworking. Been playing with us since 2000, 20 some odd years now. And so we booked a show, and Ed was on a show, and then we had a guy. Oh my gosh, he was a sax player. I can't remember his name now, but he was on that show too. Hopefully, it'll come to me. But Ron, the bass player, had a conflict in his schedule, and I remember calling another friend of ours, who's bass player, whose name was Roland Guerrero. And I remember calling him saying, "Roland, I have a bass emergency. I have a show at the House of Blues and I have no bass player. Will you please learn the repertoire?" And he did. Garland, that's the name. Garland was the saxophone player that we used for this show at the House of Blues. And I think Anitra, that was probably her. I think she danced on that. Anitra Brazil.
That probably was, yes. So shout out to Anitra Brazil. So that probably was the first one.
That was quite a night at the House of Blues. So many people. Thank you for anyone out there who's watching who saw us there at the House of Blues. It was a big to do. He definitely felt like a rock star. I was going back. I actually have the little flyer for the month of their shows that they did there. War was on that bill, and Lucy Pearl was on that same bill. Tina Marie actually played at the House of Blues the night before us. So, I mean, it's a trip to see your band's name up on a flyer with all of these major artists. So that was sort of the step two, or the lineup number two, and that lasted. And there's the that lasted for quite some time, with Mark on drums, Roland on bass, and Ed on guitar, and I'm the keyboard player. And from that point, we went on.
Well, before you go, I do want to show, because I want to give you guys just a little highlight of those people and how they, what we look like. So I'm gonna pull up a picture here real quick so you can kind of see. This was the actual band that we kind of said, this is how it's going to be. Yeah. We're going to rock it with these people. And I think we did have the backup singers on there, but they were not on this particular picture.
I think there was one.
You guys see that?
There was one show, I think, or maybe a few shows where it was just you and the band. And I think we took created this thing for that purpose.
Yeah.
Because as just so you guys know, a lot of clients, they loved us, but we were not willing to perform, and not pay our people.
Exactly.
So we needed, if they didn't have the budget, I can't.
We just don't do it.
Just don't do it, or we could offer you a smaller show.
Exactly.
And it's not as dynamic, but we'll do it. And I've always had that. That's a value I think we've pretty much had. It's like we want to make sure whoever it is, whatever role they have in our project, they got to get paid for their work.
Exactly. So so y'all, this is what we looked like. This is the group. And now here's the deal. For me, as a person who's honoring someone, I always said you still have to see a little bit of Chantel in the show, because I am actually honoring, I'm actually playing a tribute. I'm not an impersonator. So a lot of times people were like, well, she doesn't have on the same wig as Tina, or she doesn't. I even had a guy coming to me. He goes, "You don't have her legs, but you sure do sound like her." And I was like, do I take that as a compliment or what? But I was like, okay, so he's just full of himself. Yeah. I'm not gonna even worry about it. Let me just take the voice compliment. But there were times I did not have on the same kind of wig. I would have the same coloring, but not necessarily the same wig. And definitely a lot of times I didn't have on the wardrobe, because in the beginning stage, I was like, I wasn't even comfortable with my own body. So I was like, I'm not gonna put that on. But then as I grew mature, when I got mature about artistry and acting, and that these are characters and that it has nothing to do with me as a person, once I move out the immaturity stuff, like my little country value system that I thought I had. Once I just got to the art, I started creating more and started allowing myself to experience more. And so that's been a great journey to experience more, because Tina, she left everything on the stage, y'all. She was just like, it wasn't about the wardrobe. It wasn't about, I mean, she wanted to look good, I'm sure, but it was really about the story she was telling out of her body. That really was what it was all about. And that's what I love about her as an artist. She's not performing. It's not, you see her and she's like, she'll do her thing. Do you love me? I love you too. Stuff. Different things. She would interact with the audience. But she was performing from herself. She wasn't performing necessarily. I personally felt, somebody else may have a different interpretation, I think she was giving of herself. She was a giver of her talents. And so she didn't have to perform for the audience. She didn't have to do certain things to grab attention. The attention was already there. And I love that as an artist. When you are telling the story of the song, and it's in your body and it's in your personality and it's in your character, and you ain't got to do anything extra but tell that story and just be you, that's powerful to me. And I learned a lot from her, because there were times when I would, sing the song and get all, especially if you guys maybe hit a wrong note. Now, I would never, okay, here's 101 for singers out there. If a musician hits the wrong note, do not turn around. Don't do it.
Don't do it. Just keep rolling.
Because it says a lot about you as an artist and a professional than it says about them. I don't ever remember seeing Tina turn around. She may have. I'm just saying, I didn't see it. But I don't.
Her musicians were really, really good.
They were really good, but we heard a couple of hiccups.
Nobody's perfect.
I mean, because nobody's perfect, right? Perfect. But I remember seeing Tina do her thing. She knew how to keep that audience moving because she was doing her thing. I don't ever remember her going like, "Get it right,"
No.
But there are artists out there that do that stuff, and it just takes away from the show. It really does. And that's another reason why we want to honor Tina Turner, because she was the real deal. She was the real deal, y'all. So let's finish giving those shots out real quick, because I want to make sure everybody gets.
So then we, at that point, we started.
The other people.
Yes. Well, let me continue with the history, and we'll get into the other people because it'll match. So we got really, really blessed because we came into contact with a promoter whose name was Rick Fatland. I think it was Viking Agency. He was up in like Fresno or somewhere around there, and he took a chance on us, and he gave us the opportunity to perform at the Orange County Fair 5 years in a row, and that was just so awesome. And it was in that time frame he got us on tour at a bunch of different fairs: Bakersfield, Fresno. We went to Idaho, Boise, Idaho. And in that lineup, we had that same band we just showed, but our background singers, I believe at that point, was Tracy, and Jackie.
So we already gave them a shout out.
I think that's when Sherry actually started to come work with us around somewhere in that period, like 2003.
She came after them. She wasn't on that tour with them.
Maybe not that one, but later on.
Yeah.
But somewhere in there, because I remember we were at the Upside Down Club still, and that was 2003. We did an audition. The Upside Down Club was what we used as our church building in the early 2000s. And
so she came on. That's when
right around 2003, 2004. So she caught maybe the back end of those years. And she's been with us pretty much ever since.
So so I wanted to leave Sherry last because there was a special thing I wanted to share about her. But so we talked about how we ended up, of course, having to audition people. And that's something for musicians that are listening. We ended up, instead of doing it the first way that we did it with hiring all of our friends, we ended up auditioning people, because it was very important for us to get people who were going to be able to play the role, be a part of the community,
Mhm.
and really execute what we were looking
Yeah.
for. So at that particular time, we auditioned Sherry Roan.
Mhm.
Sherry Roan came aboard. Orlando
Orlando,
Drake, yes,
really great
very
vocalist,
great
very
vocalist.
talented.
And so because some people had to actually leave the primary team for their own personal reasons because they were doing some other stuff. So we had to reshift. At that time, we also got Jewel Delagal, who's married now. She's a different name now. She became one of the dancers. So between Anitra and Jewel, they became the dancers who were on Proud Mary for the long haul, the rest of the time. And then, of course, there's had to be some changes because Jules was doing some things. And then after that, we ended up kind of just having Anitra kind of just like she literally be kind of by herself, and then Sherry can dance too, so she would cover some of the dance moves. And then we added Jamila Ford. Yes. And so that's who we added as.
Wait a minute, there was one singer we had for a while. Her name was Nina.
Remember yes, Nina? Nina was really. Oh my gosh,
Nina! She was really, really good.
She was
really good, but
Nina started a family too. She started a family, so. Yes, we had her. Yeah, I can't believe I did. Gosh, that was a really great moment because Orlando replaced Nina.
I think so. That's what happened. Sounds about right.
That's what happened. And here's the deal, y'all. All these people that performed in Proud Mary, we have 2 other bands that we have, and those people have actually interacted with those other bands because they were so loyal in this particular band. So, and then we've had people sub like. Sherry Whitten has subbed in Proud Mary. Viva Vincent has subbed in Proud Mary. So those girls have been our subs. And then I want to just go with the musicians because what ended up happening is we ended up having a musician, a bass player, couple bass players just join us for a little bit, and then they ended up doing more. So I want to name off John Haynes, who has frequented Proud Mary. Malcolm Turner, who was frequented Proud Mary.
And then we played with Zeta Bell. Remember him?
Zeta Bell came on board for a little bit. And then last but not least, Greg Brown. Came on as our drummer.
Yeah, we actually had George.
Then we had George.
We had George Bernardo for a few years. He was a second drummer that we worked with. Richard Alexander actually did some gigs with us when Ed was not available.
Yep.
And so and then and then Tony Brewer, of course.
God
rest his soul. He
played all the way up until
a lot of the
his
shows
last days.
where we actually had saxophone on the gig. Tony was the man.
We miss Tony very much.
Miss Tony.
We miss him very much.
Yes. Fortunately, he's on some video that we have, which is really great. And so, so then, so
those are all the people who have been a part of Proud Mary at some point.
So there may
be a lot of people, y'all.
It's
a lot of people. But I do want to just hit real quick because we're pretty much at our time, babe. We've been talking a little bit because
there's so much more to this story.
And there's so much. So it's probably got to be a part 2. But I do want to show you some highlights. And then I also put up some more video that I actually got today. But I do want to just give a shout out to Sherry Roan because Sherry Roan definitely was in Proud Mary. She actually helped with the choreography. She would help the background singers, the new ones. She would help the new dancers that would come in. She really was kind of like my ace to actually like where I could just be the front line girl and not have to worry about all of that stuff. She really helped us do auditions because we trusted her. Her opinion and expertise. So we just want to lift her up right now because y'all, Sherry actually auditioned for the Tina Turner musical on tour. And so she is currently on tour right now with the Tina Turner musical. So let's give her a hand. Sherry. So yes, we're excited for her. We're just like, I'm like, all those years she's been in Proud Mary, now she can put a lot of her expertise in and help because there's a lot of young people on that tour. And so Sherry is able to really educate. And I even saw her, like she actually was interviewed where she's kind of like was the dance captain over there. So girl, do your thing. We are so proud of you, and keep it moving. Keep it moving.
Go.
So if you guys get a chance, I know that the Tina Turner musical comes to LA this next month. If you get a chance at the Pantages Theater, please go see it. Sherry Rome will be in that particular production, to my knowledge. So you guys get in on that. But I know there are many Tina Turner fans out there. I know that she meant a lot to many of you. She meant a lot to us. I feel like Tina wasn't just an artist out there in the world for everybody. I felt like when she passed, I felt like this was family, because I've been doing the music for so long. I feel like she was a part of our family, or we're part of hers. We never got a chance to meet her. And that's the part that I grieve. I really sad over that. And I'm sad over, there are a lot of things, because John and I have been around for so long, like people would reach out to us, and I would even audition for reality TV shows, and no one would ever hire me. I would get rejected. Then I'll go see the reality show, and I'm like, the person that they chose, I'm like,
why?
And feeling a certain kind of way. And I'm like, oh, okay. So, but when you get told no so many times, you do feel like maybe I'm not that good. Maybe maybe. And then at the end of the day, I had to grow through that stuff and go, you know what? That's their loss, because I'm really honoring this woman. It's not about me. I'm trying to honor her. And, a lot of these shows is about their show. It's not really about honoring the artist. And so I don't know. I can't tell you if I would have hoped that I would have had that spot. I think back then I did. I'm like, man, I wish I could have been there. I think the most beautiful thing that I have been able to do was pay honor to her, whether I'm on TV in front of the masses or not. But before, I didn't feel that. I'm just like, I don't feel like maybe I'm not as good. Maybe I should stop doing the tribute. But when you lose your way of why you do what you do, that's what happens, y'all. So I had to give back to why we're doing what we do. And that is to pay honor to Tina Turner. We will miss her. Farewell, Queen. Farewell. Well done.
Absolutely.
Well done. We are so grateful that John and I have been able to walk and do this life.
Absolutely.
And share this music. And we're going to keep it going, y'all. A lot of people have been asking, we're going to do a show. We don't know. Right now, we just want to let Tina's memory be celebrated on the news and wherever else. And, hopefully when somebody hires us, we'll do a show, or we may put one together on our own. But we don't have that yet. Right now, we're just enjoying the moment that we have gotten to have and celebrating this woman's life with our hearts.
Yeah.
Because she was amazing.
Absolutely.
Any last words for you, babe?
Yeah, I would say, oh my gosh, there's so many. Try to pick the last words. I don't know. There's so much history. I would encourage people to go back and learn the history. It's just a great story of triumph.
Yeah.
Tina Turner's life is a story of triumph. I would strongly recommend that you watch the documentary that they put out in 2021. I think it was HBO did it. I think it's called Tina. And then if you can see the live Broadway or the touring version of it, go see it, because if you've seen What's Love Got to Do with It, that's a fabulous movie. And here's one thing that Angela Bassett should have won the Academy Award for that. I'll just say that. I like to say that over and over again, because she didn't win it and should have. But anyway, that movie takes you up to Tina's sort of like the 1980s. But when you watch the Broadway musical, it carries on her story beyond that and really gets into the huge triumphs after that, and more of her personal life, more of where she came, out of the ashes and into love that she didn't experience early on in life. And that's really worth seeing. And just the very last thing I would say is this, and for you, I would say all of those TV shows that didn't book you, it was their loss, because they did not recognize the level of love that you have for her and the level of performance. Whatever reason, they couldn't see it. But those no's are nothing in comparison to the thousands upon thousands of people who have watched you perform and watched all of us with huge smiles, and all the little children that would come up. You used to bring the kids on stage. And I told somebody the other day there was one little girl who came up to her in Bakersfield, California, of all places, and said, "I love your movie." So she couldn't discern whether or not it was Angela Bassett or Tina Turner, and it was just the little girl was just so enthralled.
I remember
with you, and that to me is way more priceless and memorable than some TV producer saying no.
Thank you, babe.
You're welcome.
I'm so glad we got to do this together.
I am too.
And then
we can do it again because there's so much more to the story.
It's so much more to the story, but we're going to leave you guys with some video that we captured over the years, and just so you can hear how people enjoy the honoring that we put on. And then also, I just want to give a shout out to some people who have just walked this journey with us, that have supported us. And I want to give a shout out to our friend Shauna Ray, who's pretty much been at our shows no matter where they are. And then in particular, my mom, who really celebrates me doing Tina, and really means a lot. And then also, I just want to give a shout out to our friend Alan Shea for capturing the moments of Tina Turner when we perform. You guys can kind of see that I think he posted something today. And I also have an interview that he did with me, and it was just so beautiful. And I can't wait to post that and share that as well.
Can we say thank you to Linda Knievy too?
And then Linda Knievy, who was actually our assistant,
Ed's wife, and
Ed's
she traveled with us.
Wife. She traveled with us.
Fan and supporter.
And just made me feel like I was actually the star. And it's like, really, Tina's the star. I just get to, embody the character, the persona. And so I appreciate you too, Linda, if you're watching, and everybody who performed in this band. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So with that, I want to thank you guys for watching Facebook and it's YouTube. These comments are so encouraging. I want to just read a few of them and thank you so much for being on. But somebody put, yes, it really does. Thank you for sharing the legacy. So true, John. Chitlin Circuit. Wow, information is so great. Thank you for your transparency, Chantel. You are a rock star and beautiful, overcomer like the queen. Thank you, you guys. This is so very good. Shannon, at that top you're wearing is fire. Thank you. Proud Mary, exclamation mark. Yes, y'all need to teach a master class. We actually will. Thank you. Hi, Chantel and John. Ricky here. Hey, girl. My apologies for the delay on my way to a request. So sorry, Ricky. My condolences to you. Joining from New Jersey, Monica. Thank you. Oh wow, Jackie and oh wow. I don't know that. I didn't know that that's how you met Ed. Roland G. I love this Proud Mary Band photo. You guys, thank you for these comments. John Haynes naming off the people and the best saxophone player in the world, Tony Brewer. Chantel Denise, you embody Lady Tina, and you are the best I've ever seen, and you will keep her legacy alive. I am going to do that. Good job, Tina, forever. I'm enjoying the show. Thank you. You are awesome. Keep it up. Proud Mary is awesome. Girl, you rock. Thank y'all for all those comments. I appreciate fam and friends.
Thank you.
You're awesome. You are awesome.
Couldn't do it without me.
So let me close out and show you guys a few video clips here. Here's the first one. Now I don't know how this is gonna be. I'm gonna tell you now because my daughter edited.
Yes, fabulous. Proud Mary. One of you rock. Of course, she's my daughter. We've been following them for
say a little something. This is you love the show. Is this the last show, or you guys?
Oh no, it's not. No retirement.
No retirement. Okay.
No retirement. Chantel's too good.
Okay. Yeah.
Even if it's just 2 shows a year, that's great.
All right.
Keep it going. We've known her for a long time. Met her at the Orange County Fair.
I remember. Trust me. I remember you guys.
I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago.
Brother, the show was fabulous.
It was fabulous. You like
and
that?
she doesn't know whether she'll return next year, so it's up to us.
There
So
you go.
we'll be at the city council requesting her return. Their return. Yes. Yeah, at least twice a year. We don't want her to come one time.
At least
we
twice?
want twice a year.
Got you.
You know what I'm saying? That's not an asking, that's an order.
That's an order?
Yes, sir.
I really would like to call it more of a tribute because I love Nitty to the front. She just possessed so much energy, pizzazz, confidence. We've had a consistent group for quite a long time, and I feel like the people are just wonderful.
The energy is amazing.
Can't have a better time than being on stage with you guys.
Got to do with it. What's love but a second hand emotion? What's love got to do with it? Who needs a heart when a heart can be broken? Rolling, rolling, rolling on the wheel. Rolling, rolling, yes, rolling on the wheel. Get up every night. Rolling, rolling, yes, rolling on the wheel. Come on, y'all, quit rolling, rolling, rolling on the wheel.
That's so good, right? I was here 2 years ago when I saw you. You were great then and you're great now.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you have those moves down. Because I see the movie like, I can't tell you how many times. And when you do that little thing where you go like this, I go, oh, she's gonna do that.
Thank you.
So sweet.
Wow.
That's just a little bit.
I forgot Stacy Lamont Sidnor.
Oh
Remember?
my gosh. I can't
He
believe
was,
we
he
forgot
was, it
Stacy.
reminded me for some of those interviews. I believe that was one of the at least the one show that he performed on.
Mm.
Yeah.
And then this is a little bit from today. There you have it, y'all. That is our part of our journey. There's so much more. I wish we could have got all the footage. Some of this stuff is like archive that we got to go pull up.
Yep.
They're still on VHS tapes. So yes, there's been there's a lot of material. And thank you to our little Melody who actually put that video together for us. We really appreciate her doing that. You know, she could have put way more, but it was like it's so much stuff. It was too much for to do it all today.
Since 1998, yeah.
Today,
it's been a few years.
So we're gonna do a full-on documentary, and we cannot wait to share that with y'all. But we appreciate you being on tonight. We thank you for, you know, just loving us and being there to support us like you do. It really, really means a lot. And if you can get down to Vine, what's that other cross street?
1750 Vine and Yucca at the Capitol Records building in Hollywood before they take this display down.
Yes.
They have it out on Tina Starr, and her name is there next to some incredible icons for eternity. The Beatles are there. Natalie Cole's name is there. David Foster's name is there. So I mean, these are some all in pretty good company.
Yeah. It was really beautiful to basically be there today to watch that. So thank you guys again for joining us. We appreciate you.
Yes, we do.
And as always, make it a good day because you can. Thank y'all. Thanks for watching. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe to my channel, y'all, because you know how this works. Got to get as many people as possible. I'll see you guys. Thank you. We love y'all.